Okay, hopefully we're rolling and everything's good and I'm not looking a hot mess. But either way, I don't mind, and that's kind of what this video is going to be about. So yeah, welcome back to the Positivity Hour, my party people. I'm your host, exclusively on this podcast known as Big D, or Senor Positivo for my Espanol speaking folks, or Darshaun Smith. And this is episode 19. And let's get into the video. Woo!
Wow, KT, you killed it.
Now that we're back, hopefully you enjoyed the new intro. I thought about making a new intro specifically for this podcast, but then I was really thinking, like, some people actually do just listen to this, so you can't even see what's on the screen, and like not everyone watches it. So, and it's like what you are watching isn't like the most impressive, like the most this, the most that. Like it's pretty basic, pretty simple. And it's just us doing us out here. So hopefully I got the camera in check. Let me just make sure real quick that it's on continuous autofocus, not like it was last time when it was on manual. It is on continuous autofocus, so we're good. Okay. I'm gonna sit back in the main seat, looking like a hot mess, but we're good. So yeah, this podcast right here is just going to be, or this episode of the podcast, known as the Positivity Hour, available everywhere but the Apple, podcast app. For some reason, they don't like my podcast. But yeah, today we're just going to talk about general life update and the plan going forward. Is the title I have for myself. Obviously, variations may be made from the time of this recording and the time that this is put out, which only takes a 2 hour or so difference. But yeah, so I'm just get ready, take a step back. I finally got my mic working a little bit, so like my mic audio is not like a freaking cell phone anymore. It's slightly above a cell phone. But yeah, obviously, I'm not spending hundreds or thousands of dollars on equipment yet, because as Casey Neistat once said, just record with the best equipment you got always, okay? If the best you got is a smartphone, then by all means, do your do and get the work done. But if you can afford or have the patience or time or energy to invest thousands and thousands of dollars and hours and whatever you want into equipment, then by all means. But at the end of the day, it's the story that matters and not the equipment. Okay, so yeah, we're just gonna get straight into this. I have 2, 4, 6, 8 topics to talk about, and yeah, we'll talk about this as we go through. But real quick, make sure you go get a snack or something, or just put your headphones in and grab some water or something, and just take a sip with me, okay? Wow. But yeah, so we're gonna be here for a minute, okay? I think we're gonna hit the max recording limit of my camera, which is about 20 something minutes. I forget. I haven't hit it in so long that I forgot, I also have to sneeze. I don't know when I'm gonna sneeze. Hopefully by saying I had to sneeze, I'm not going to sneeze now. But you'll find out when I do. So the first point on here, I just need like I said, it's a life update. So as of late, I am on winter break from college. And I have completed my 3rd semester with higher grades than one would like to say, and 2 than I expected I would get. So that's always nice. My goal going into this semester, because of COVID and online classes, all my classes were online, so that was definitely a change. Like this and that. Like my goal was just to pass, and I almost made the dean's list, which I had no aspirations to make too, but that just shows that with hard work, even when the going gets tough, that you could still prevail. Because as I say, I'm just a normal person at the end of the day. Yeah, I do some pretty extraordinary things, but deep down, like I don't know, I just be chilling. I feel like the stuff I do isn't like isn't that like out there. It isn't that profound. It isn't that this or that. It's just stuff you wake up and do, in my opinion. And I guess that's, if it's not normal to you, then I guess maybe I am weird and different. But hey, I like being that anyway, so go us. But outside of that, being on winter break has given me a lot of time, like off of work, just to take a deep breath in, deep breath out, and just like really like not focus on other stuff outside of myself, like, yeah, it's unfortunate, like, yeah, I don't see as many people anymore. I don't see like my I don't see my girlfriend, I don't see this and that. But although like those, that can be sad, and it is an instrumental part of like living a good, happy life, like it really like gives you the time and energy and like space. Did I mention the time simply just to look at like from an introspective perspective and just ask yourself the necessary questions so you can fully reevaluate where you are currently, where you were in the past, and how all of that affects like what's going to happen in the future. And for the most part, that's like what we're going to talk about in this video, because like I said, life update and the plan going forward. Now, basic, super basic information, and then we'll get on to the next 7 talking points. My family, we're doing great, all sides of it, although the pandemic is going on, like we're all very privileged that, we're not super struggling out here, like, and I'm thankful for that, and I appreciate that, and it's what motivates me in moments like this to like always keep working hard and always do my best at certain things, because like I never want to be in a position to where like we ever have to struggle. Not saying we ever have growing up, everyone struggles eventually, but I'm just saying I don't want to be put into a position like COVID has forced millions into. That's just not something that interests me, and I want the people around me to experience. So I've thought about a lot, but we'll actually talk about that later in this episode. So do stay tuned for all of the life occurrences and realizations and topics and such that I've crossed my mind over the last 2 or 3 weeks, or not 2 or 3 weeks, the last month or so, because for 3 weeks I did live by myself to finish the semester, and then I moved back home for a month and some change. So so moving on, we're gonna move on to the holidays. So I already brushed up on some of this. Like I'm not gonna get into like details, because I don't like flexing, as some people would say, or this or that. But like I said before, like we're very fortunate, all sides of my family, that like we still had a pretty decent holiday season, and this and that, or whatever you want to infer. So that's always nice, and it's just the biggest part for me, as I value in my life, is just like spending time with those who are close to me, and the majority of that is my family, which is always nice. And then it's always nice just to lay in bed all day, watch a movie or something, and talk to people, and so on and so forth. And to be honest, I think that's all I have to say about the holidays, because everything else after that just kind of leads into reflecting on life as a whole, and that's like point 6. So we'll get there. Point 3 though, school. School is hard. As it says in the description, this podcast, normally outside of the, really reflective and me just kind of, what's the positive way of saying venting? Me spewing some knowledge for time capsule sake, you could say, out there on the internet for other people to enjoy and maybe think differently about their own situation. We're gonna talk about school. So school, like I said, is tough. As it says in the description of this podcast on like Spotify or whatever, I'm a sociology major. For some reason, I think I actually just got a new academic advisor, which is a little concerning because I liked my previous one. And I don't know what happened, if he got fired or just dropped me or whatever. I liked Mr. Tom, but I didn't have to call him Mr. Tom. I just, I just called him Mr. Tom, And that's his first name, too. Like, I have no clue what his last name is, but he's like, yeah, I'm Tom. But anyways, moving on. I'm thinking about adding a minor, like in African American studies, maybe a double major or something, and maybe like a certificate in like sociology. What was I about to say? Sociological analytics or something like that, or social science analytics. I forget what the actual certificate's called, but it's something along those lines of just the data collection and such of the data I'd collect as a social scientist, which I am aspiring to be one day, which is really nice and goes into the second point, which is plans for after school. But yeah, so school, especially going to school, especially college, in the middle of a pandemic is excuse me, I had yawn there. Hopefully I didn't make any of y'all yawn, but whatever, drop it in the comments. But your school, going to school in a pandemic actually sucks, and I think it is one of the most hardest things I've ever done. One of the most hardest semesters I've ever experienced was this last one. I would say like my first hardest, before this, was my first semester of college, because as I was explaining to some of my friends yesterday, that like I'm not, my goal in life is to always be above average, and whatever that turns out to be is what it is. If I'm in the 99th percentile, we're in the top 1%, then like by all means, like go crazy. But if we're just like a little bit above average, like that still meets the goal. Like I just want to be above average, and the same could be said for like academics, And in high school, I was saying, talking with my friends yesterday, I was thinking like I felt like I was smart enough to not be in the normal classes, but I wasn't exactly fully smart enough to be in AP classes, There wasn't like, there's no middle ground between like the regular student and the ones who were taking college level courses, like in high school. And I was firmly in the middle, leaning towards the upper echelon of the college classes, but I wasn't fully there. But somehow I managed to, make it through with good grades. We're not going to say how we did on the AP exams, that says it all. But it's just something I would think about. And like that's definitely what made that my first semester in college, especially because it was pre-COVID, so I had the real college experience, and that's what made it so difficult, was because like the adjustment and being like just barely above average. And like when you think about it, like statistically speaking, although a lot of people go to college or whatever, like it's not like the majority or the average people that go. So when your goal is to be slightly above average, and then you get into a situation where most of the people there are like way above average, you eventually look like, for lack of a better term, dumb. But I didn't look dumb. I still finished with like a 3.1, which still is above average, but like, because the average was like 2.87, But like it still was like hard, and I'm just very fortunate that like I'm able to learn and grow over the years, and it's got me to this point where I can finish with almost a 3.5 in the middle of a COVID pandemic, and still be successful, and pass all my classes and get the credit to graduate on time. So yeah, so that is just like the current. That was this last semester. of school. It's still going to be like this in this next semester, and I hope by next fall, which will be my 5th semester in college, that like I think that the vaccines and everything for COVID are like fully distributed. You know, I don't know if I'm going to get poked in the arm yet. You know, eventually, but like as I said to my family, I'm gonna let some people go before me. You know, I have no problem wearing a mask and you know, staying inside all day. Also, my stepmom once said, you know, shout out to Geneva, one on her promotion or new job. You know, that's pretty cool. But two, she said like although being in like the COVID quarantine pandemic situation is like unfortunate, like the only thing she really misses of like pre-COVID is like going to the movie theater and you know, just that's about it, you know, just like very very simple things. Everything else she said in life is could just be the same, you know. And you know, I've talked with a lot of people that feel similarly about that. But like speaking on that though, about how like, you know, my first semester in college was pretty normal. Like my roommate Stanley, you've seen Stanley's if you watch some of my other YouTube videos or something, you know, and Stanley, this was his first semester in college, was during COVID. So, you know, comparing this semester to my first semester, you know, obviously, like, they're two different, like, unique things. They're not even, you know, freaking close in what they achieved and accomplished. But I must say that, like, this semester did turn out to be a lot better than I thought it would be. And I still met a lot of people, still did a lot of cool things, you know, if i.e. Catlick Customs, you know, we make custom shoes and stuff now. And, you know, I'll paint your vape. So, you know, we do it all. You know, catlickcustoms.com. You know, buy today. Local purchases only in the Iowa City, Cedar Rapids area. So, yeah. So, you know, that's enough with school. So let's talk with after school things. I've thought a lot recently about, like, what I want to do with the pieces of paper and stuff I'm going to get. Once I graduate, and if once I graduate undergraduate, am I trying to go to graduate school or, you know, go get my PhD, you know, become Dr. Smith officially, since, you know, those are my initials. And my mom said, you know, you're going to be a doctor one way or another, you know, it don't have to be MD. It could, you know, be Dr. Smith, you know, sociologist, but, you know, it's all the same doctor. Well, it's not technically, you know what I'm saying, though. It's all the same doctor at the end of the day, okay? And, I definitely just want to do something in life that, like, I was talking with, I think my girlfriend about this one day, about just like, and I've talked with a lot of people about this, but like most recently my girlfriend, and just being like, yo, I just want to do something that like will change the world, you know. Like what I've done so far, you know, I was like everything you do like changes the world, you know. It's like the butterfly effect, you know. But like, you know, we're living it right now. Like me picking up my phone just changed the world. Like me like not throwing it at the camera right now, just like maybe made the Earth spin a little bit more, which like stopped the meteor from crashing into us 10 years from now. Like, we don't know. We'll find out though. And like so like every like saying in short, like everything you do right now has like, you know, consequences or repercussions for the future, and so on. And I just want to make sure whatever I do in the future is supported with what I do now, so I can, you know, do big things later. You know, I'm doing big things now, and I have done big things in the past, but, you know, I want to do bigger and even better things in the future. And like that's my biggest goal, you know. A lot of people always say like, oh, you could be a motivational speaker, Darshaun, or a TV show host, or, you know, a YouTuber, or this or that, you know, all something in the limelight, you could say, living a public life where you and your opinion are valued and people look up to you because you're inspirational, you're positive, motivational, and you want to change the world. And that is something I have thought about a lot, because it's something people have been saying to me for a number of years now. And every time I meet a new person, I had met my friend's girlfriend's roommate the other day, and within the first like 10 minutes, she's like, you need to be a talk show host or a motivational speaker or something, you know. So obviously that's why I have the YouTube channel, you know. I make some vlogs. Yeah, I'm not super consistent with it, and this is the next topic, is to talk about the YouTube channel and the podcast. But like, we're working on it, and it's definitely like, I was just thinking like before I click the record button, that like, if I do, go down the social scientist realm, I definitely do want to like still do the podcast, to be like, to have that like outlet, so it's not like because the description now is a social scientist in training, but like later it'll be like a real perspective of a social scientist, like, don't get it twisted, everything I say is a hot take because it's my opinion. Whether you disagree or agree with it is completely yours, your opinion, and that's okay, because everyone is entitled to their opinion, and like, no one can take that away from you, unless you don't live in a country that values, freedom of speech and opinions. But sadly, we live in America, and you can say and think whatever you want to think, depending on the situation. Most people won't do anything about it, but sometimes, they'll take you out at night. So stay safe. Drink some water, though. I just spilled some water on myself, but whatever. I'm wet. But moving on. Yeah. So I just, in short, I just want to do big things, and like, one thing to supplement that is this YouTube channel that you're watching the video on, or the podcast that you're listening to on Spotify, or Google Podcast, or the other 3 things it's on. I can definitely say, like, I've had some actual viewership from people I don't know, which is cool. I'm not sure how much of it is like repeat listeners. That's a whole other different story. But every now and then I do find a person from like a different country, even just to like check out my videos or listen to the podcast, which is very nice. And like the big thing that I'm trying to work on as of like right now is like the consistency of making videos and such, And I can definitely say that, like, throughout this last semester, and even during my first 2 semesters of like college, like I'd be posting videos beforehand, but once I'd get to school, I just like wouldn't post. And it's not because I wouldn't have time to, because I had the free time to, but it almost was like a lack of motivation. But what I learned towards the end of my 3rd semester in college, was that I like my roommate needs some form of like creative outlet, to really like forget about school. And that creative outlet is, making, sometimes good YouTube videos, and, occasionally talking to the camera, like I'm talking to another human being, and calling that a podcast. And that's, what I'm doing now. That's what I'm going to do in the future. So when I say, I'm trying to be more consistent, and purposeful with these uploads, because not only does consistency like get you rewards and success and results more so, but it's just like, I don't know, like I try to hold myself to my word, and every time I've said it in the past, I just haven't like stayed consistent, and it's one thing I really want to work on going into the future. So real quick, before I continue, let me see what my camera is at, recording-wise. We're at 23 minutes, so for the people who are listening or watching, you won't see a difference in anything that's going on right here. But my camera is slightly overheating, so, we'll take a break. But for you, it won't be anything, so I'll catch y'all in 2.2. And just like that, we're back, okay? I actually like went and watched a YouTube video for like 5 or 10 minutes, let my camera cool off, let the light I was using charge, this and that. I think I was talking about, my YouTube channel and the podcast, but knowing me, I'm pretty sure I said all that I needed to say. And yeah, so to summarize everything that I said in that last 5 or 10 minutes, I plan on posting more, more podcasts. I want to have more people on it. I want to post more YouTube videos. In general, like my Darshaun's commentary, playlist. I want to, add to that, as the rappers would say, I want to add to my discography. And so on and so forth, because I really want to, try to grow this YouTube channel, because I enjoy doing it. Like, obviously, eventually, like, YouTube, it could be a money maker, but, like, and like, that's good, I'm trying to live a life, which, will be the next the next part, which is reflecting on life. I want to live a life with like multiple streams of income and such. I don't want to only rely on like a 9 to 5, or living in the rat race. I want to have like 2 or 3. So if one goes down, I'm still making money. But I don't do YouTube for money. Like if I was trying to make money, I would have started when I was like 12, and and worked on it like every day or something. Like, but when I did start, I just did it for fun. And most of all, as I said earlier, and you can quote me, I just do it for the memories. Like I had said, I'm talking to this camera because it's like a time capsule. It's just putting the information out there so I can like look back on it like when I'm older or in a tough spot, and I want to look at and think about like how I was thinking and feeling like right now in my life, So yeah, moving on, since we're talking about my life, the third to last point is reflecting on my life as a whole. And as I said, in the beginning of this video, like being on winter break has given me a lot of different opportunities and such to really just like think about my life as a whole and reflect and see if I'm still having the same quality of standard, if I'm still living in an enjoyable life, in my opinion, and if I'm satisfied. And ultimately, after some hard thought and some really real realizations, and also I have a book I write in, not like a journal or anything, like I don't write daily in it, but it's just a place where I reflect on, like after reading that back for a bit and so on, I really like learned that my life was going to it was going down the drain. It was not good. Like, don't get it twisted. Like I said, school, I was still doing all right. Socially, like, I'm doing the best I can in COVID, times. But speaking on COVID, like, I had thought, like, really hard and long about how much COVID was actually had affected my life. And it was serious. And it's not that, like, COVID made it so I couldn't be as social, like, because it did, but it and like everything else like that COVID did. It was more so like the personal things, like the goals and standards I set for myself that I just kind of neglected and didn't participate in anymore. And that realizing that I didn't do that, or I fell off on this goal, or I stopped doing this for this certain type of reason, like that frustrated me. And I had noticed months ago that I was just frustrated. I've always been a person who has like high standards and a high self-control, high self-discipline. And I've noticed, over these last couple months, the discipline has just not been there, and the control has just not been there. And it really has frustrated me, as a whole. And I'm going to reference something Dave Chappelle said in one of his Netflix series. He was joking and like, and because he's a comedian. He was joking, all pun intended. Hopefully enjoyed that, and was just talking about like the time he had this encounter with this transgender person, and how they were offended by the transgender jokes they were making. And Dave Chappelle said, I did the one thing that few black men in America have the time and money to do. And that's just think about how I feel right now. And over these last 6 weeks, this month and some change, I've done just that. I'm not saying I'm rich or anything, but I'm a broke college kid. I get by all right. And I, seeing that the semester came to a close recently, and now I have 6.5 weeks or something of doing nothing because I'm not taking a winter class, because I knew I needed to take a break from everything, and I done what not too many people who look like me have the time or money to do, and just really think about how I feel. And I can definitely say that it has helped me in ways that I simply just cannot explain. It has put me back on track to like greatness like nobody's business. Like I have realized and thought about so much that is like relevant. I keep yawning. Excuse me. I like that is so relevant and just so like true to like progressing on in the future or whatever whatever it may be, you know. Whether that be like a financial endeavor, you know, investing in something, or you know, trying harder, you know, at school, or having the self-discipline to, you know, like you not do this or that, or you know, interact with these people or that people, and you know, continuing to have the high standards so you can have a higher quality and, you know, higher standard of living, you know, per se. And just I've already made a podcast episode about this, and it's not the most long. It's not, oh, sorry. Let me reword that. It's not the longest video out there on the topic, and to be honest, I don't even think it was that informative as well as like this. But it's just me like just talking, you know. Obviously, every time I like record this back, I always think about something I probably should have said or this or that, you know. But I always do my best, you know, and like thinking and reflecting on life, you know, that's the biggest part. Like if that's the one thing I can like provide and push out to people, is just always do your personal best, you know. Like no matter like what the current situation is, no matter what's affecting you, whether it be, you know, the coronavirus pandemic, or you know, the presidential election and the uncertainty of that, or you know, the uncertainty of, you know, your job or schooling, whatever it may be, you know, literally put your best foot forward. You know, that is like the foundation to everything that you build off of. Because if you're not doing 100% of what you can provide, it's a lost cause from the get-go. And that's the biggest piece of advice or whatever you could say that I just wish I would have reminded myself of more often than I did. And the funny thing is, I remind myself of stuff like this all the time, like all day, every day. And to be honest, I even think like that's the reason why I stopped the Daily Dose of Positivity, was because like at one point, like I was more happy and I was more positive and like had the self-discipline to like keep and set new goals, you know, and such. And so much more. And I feel like that just, you know, the deterioration of the qualities that make me me and that make me be able to function properly, like those going away just made it so like I couldn't do it anymore. I was like at 1,150 days in a row, you know. Like that's almost 3 years, you know. I had experienced so much over those 3 years of doing it or saying something positive to hundreds of people every day, and it was a journey. Let me tell you, it was cool. I definitely would do it again, but you know, it's in the past, you know. And I like having, like I said, you know, once again over these last, you know, couple weeks, I've thought about it and thought about like what went wrong, and you know, because I've done that, I can now ask myself why, which I've already answered in the book, and then further ask myself the question of what will we do going forward. And this goes to my second to last point, which is, you know, after reflecting on life as a whole, how does that make you feel? And after like reflecting on my life as a whole, like up until this point, like I'm 19. If you're into like half birthdays and all that, my half birthday was like a couple weeks ago or whatever. So I'm closer to 20 now than I am, 19. So, funny enough, I was talking with my brother and like stepmom and dad the other day, or not stepdad, but like my dad and stepmom, you know, and I was like, yeah, I think I'm close enough to say that I think I've beat teen pregnancy, but hey, I still got to get to 20, and then once I get to 20, then we can say officially beat teen pregnancy. So, yeah, you know. Moving on though, so back on topic, like how does reflecting on life as a whole like make you feel? And for me, it makes me feel like I need to drink some water, and also I need to finish the video. Dinner is done and I'm hungry, but after drinking water and reminiscing on the chicken downstairs that I'm definitely going to eat after this video's over, it made me feel a number of ways, but I'm going to condense them down into three things. One, it frustrated me like nobody's business. Two, it was eye-opening. And three, it was incredibly motivating. Part 2A though is it was humbling, you know. So, one, it frustrated me. Two, eye-opening. 2A, it was humbling. And three, it motivates me to like do better, you know. Always, like, don't get it twisted. Like, I always go above and beyond, you know, because at the end of the day, like I say, I'm just trying to be above average, and to do that, you need to do some extraordinary things. But just because you do it once doesn't mean you can't do it again, you know. There's always room for improvement. No one's perfect, and everyone has something they can do better next time. And I can say, after reflecting on my life for a while and still doing it, and I think about new things that I need to reflect on, or things that conversations I've had with people, or things I think about on the daily basis that I think I need to write about in my book, or like think about some more. I've now like one big thing that I was trying to do is like reorganize like my notes and stuff, so I can just be more structured in my life again, you know, because I don't get it twisted. I already lived a structured life, this and that, and, you know, keeps me out of the streets, keeps me out of trouble. But like mentally, I fell off, you know, and I'm getting back into it, and I can already see the path to greatness, you know. Now I just got to stick with it, no matter what, you know. We're in this to the day we don't wake up, you know what I mean? So that's how it made me feel, and it's a good feeling. Although it made me mad, I'm glad it did, because it meant that I know I could do better, and I know I should do better, and I know that I will do better. You know, it made me, it opened my eyes, because it's just interesting. You know, it's just like seeing how well you were doing, then seeing your fall off and the reasons why, and then how you pick yourself back up by your bootstraps. Like, that is eye-opening, you know. And if you've never experienced that for yourself, that's another thing I would recommend you to go do. Like, please just take a moment to, you know, figure some ish out in your life, okay? And then three, you know, it motivates me every day, because I know where I'm trying to get to, and I know that the road most traveled is not the one most successful people are on, you know. You got to take that road less traveled. And to take that road less traveled, you know, you got to be willing to, you know, get some sleepless nights in, to get some, you know, or some very little sleep nights, you know. You got to be able to wake up early, go to sleep late, and work harder than the next person for doing just the same amount of work, or even 2 times, 3 times the work. And, you know, and you got to make it look easy, you know. Some people are more gifted, especially like depending on the field you're going into. But, you know, just as in life in general, like if you want to do well and you want to, you know, be above average and you want to succeed, you got to get off that golden brick road. You know, you got to be like in the people in Jumanji, you know, get off that well-lit path, go through the trees where it's dark, you know. And, yeah, so I think this video has definitely been over 30 minutes by now, because I actually don't know. But I know when I ended the previous clip, it was at like 23 and some change. So for this last little bit, I'm just going to talk about some positive things that, you know, going out, just, you know, like, because it's called the Positivity Hour. You know, going back to my point about my YouTube channel and podcast, you know, I definitely just want to, like, talk about, like, the lack of positivity for a moment that has just been on, like, my channel, you know. And, like, don't get it twisted, like, I'm all about the positivity, but I'm also all about, like, being real. And, like positivity, like, is what we need to, like, get out there. And there is so much negativity in the world, and like, don't get it twisted. Like, I'm not gonna sugarcoat something just to, you know, like, meet my positivity quota, you could say, or just like, you know, make people feel happy. But like, I'm gonna be positive because genuinely, I need to for myself, and I also need to do it for other people, because like, there's so much negativity and like, you know, not good behavior in the world and such. And I feel like, you know, that's one area where I can change. You know, not too many people may watch this, you know, early video. Maybe a lot of people will come back and watch it. So whoever's watching this or listening to this in the future, you know, shout out to you. You're a real one. You know, but you know, shout out to the people who are here from the get-go. You know, you 10 or 20, you know. So, you know, y'all are appreciated. And that's the biggest thing, you know, especially like coming towards the end of the year. Like, I might not even post this like tonight, because I always try to post a podcast, a video on Sunday. But as of like last week, I posted it on Monday. So to be honest, I might post this Monday, but I might actually post this like even later now. I might post this as like the end of the year special or something like that. I don't think a lot of people will like watch it or whatever, but I kind of don't mind. You know, as I say, you know, this is for me. You know, I do YouTube, you know, for me first and foremost. And that's not me being selfish, but that's me looking out for myself. And it just so happens that like what I do and what benefits me also helps and benefits other people. And that's the biggest thing, you know, I want to do in this world. As I said, I want to make some change, and I just want to, you know, help people stay positive. So, you know, stay positive, my party people. You know, just know whatever you're experiencing in life right now, like, yes, it does get worse, okay? But you want to know what the opposite of worse is better. And although it'll get worse, that's the reason why I need to be positive, you know? Because there's always negativity. But without negativity, there's no positivity. And you need some neutral in between. So when it gets worse, remember that it will get better. And I wholeheartedly mean that. And, yeah, and I also just want to, you know, put out this little saying. I read by Rachel Wolchin. She got a lot of, or they have a lot of good quotes. I ain't assuming genders now. But I'm gonna say Rachel's a woman, but we'll say they, you know, because I don't know. And it's sort of related to this, but it's about like happiness, you know. And about like those people around you. And a big reason why people aren't always happy, and sometimes even myself, you know, but I learned how to, you know, take the hate and you know, fully live the saying, your haters are your motivators, you know. And I fully believe that when people hate on you, it's just because you're doing something that those people, you know, can't do. And there's nothing wrong with that, but you know, as Rachel Wolchin said, you know, if someone hates me for my happiness, I'll ask the universe to send them some so they forget about mine, you know. You know, that like I said, that's the only reason why a person would ever dislike you or, you know, hate you or whatever else, is because you're doing something that they can't do. So instead, you know, do what's in your power, you know. Always go out and, you know, shake a hand, or, you know, the COVID equivalent, you know, that was for the future people, you know, shake a hand. But COVID equivalent, you know, little elbow bump or a nod, or, you know, bow or something, you know, something, you know, respectful, you know, just to, you know, engage with other people. And as I, you know, said very often for the daily doses of positivity, like, you know, make sure you go compliment someone today, you know, be genuine, just be nice to people, especially like nowadays with everything that's going on. Like, people need to be nice, and most of all, be humble. Okay, that's the biggest thing I can say to you. Like, don't get it twisted. It's nice for people to talk about you. It's nice to live in the limelight, this and that. But like, at the end of the day, like, life is short, and it's all about just enjoying and being humble. Okay, and I can definitely tell you, like, when you do that, your life and standard of living will go up exponentially. So, on that note, my party people, you know, this has been episode 19 of the Positivity Hour. I hope you have enjoyed. Make sure you like, dislike, unsubscribe, subscribe, you know, hate, comment, you know, whatever you do, you know, just make sure you try to stay positive, because at the end of the day, that's all that matters, you know. Do your personal best. So I'll catch y'all later, and roll that intro, KT. Woo!